The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may.
Eine junge Frau namens Klaas hier. Klingelt da was? Diese getrockneten Blumen lagen hinter ihrem Fenster.
Klaasje.
Sie kennen sie, oder? Sie hatte eine intime Beziehung mit dem Opfer, dem Söldner.
With the victim.
Er wendet seinen Blick vom sich weiß färbenden Blumenfeld ab und verstummt. Dann zucken die Muskeln in seinem Kiefer. Ein Spasmus. Hey Bruder, ich verstehe dich, kenn ich.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst. Almost, but you need one more, just one, or maybe two.
Ich frage mich, welche Marke Schuhe sie tragen.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Dras.
Fucking imbecile.
Der alte Mann streckt sein Bein aus. Ein schwarz-weißes Spiralmuster überdeckt die Sohle der alten, abgelaufenen Laufschuhe an seinen Füßen.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Cordobe, and the size is 43.
Ha! Legendäre Wahrnehmung.
These are not the unusual horizontal pattern soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Moment mal, vielleicht gibt es ja eine ganz einfache Erklärung.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Man zieht auch mal andere Schuhe an. Das bedeutet also nicht, dass sie nicht trotzdem dort in der Nähe des Zimmers, in dem das Opfer zu Tode kam, herumgeschlichen sind.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance. More. He's gonna crack, but you need a little more.
Wir haben das Ergebnis der ballistischen Untersuchung. Der Schuss kam von dieser Insel. Gehen wir mal einen Schritt zurück.
You're lost, Dwat. You're lost.
For a 60-year-old man with stomach trouble, who spent his entire life alone on an uninhabited island, he seems surprisingly fit.
Das soll alles sein.
He's prone to erratic hand gestures and clearly malnourished. But that's it. You can see no more by looking at his slouched frame. The moment passes, and you say,
Oh Gott. Noch einmal, Herr Drost, der Colonel. Wir müssen darüber sprechen, dass sie ihn umgebracht haben.
Petty bourgeois law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world for you types.
a drop of blood in the saliva.
Ah, hier, Schuss kam von dieser Insel.
I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fascies. Did you like the view?
You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top follower to use. And you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dras. Too long. You clearly need medical aid.
I'm ready to die. I've done my part.
He's practically admitting to it. Dead fascists for fascists. Done his part. Just one thing remains unclear. The rifle does not seem to have a scope.
Sie haben Faschas erwähnt. Geben Sie zu, ihn getötet zu haben? Die Aussicht war optimal. Mit deinem Fernglas hätte ich in das Zimmer hineinsehen können.
Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gosh is right. You have worms in your brain.
Ein weiteres unvermitteltes Zucken gefolgt von noch einem in seinem rechten Auge.
Leave no stone unturned. Get him on what matters most.
Sie müssen nicht mit mir zusammenarbeiten. Ich habe das hier.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance around with that, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. Okay. So what? Don't let it divert you.
Hören Sie auf, das Thema zu wechseln. Wir haben die Mordwaffe.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it?
Glauben Sie, dass wir die Mordwaffe haben?
4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it.
Ich nenne das Kind beim Namen. Wir haben die Mordwaffe.
Good.
Lieutenant holt sein Notizbuch hervor und zieht einen einzelnen Strich.
This feels good, doesn't it? Tearing things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Ah, 7 Punkte, dann hätte ich das andere nochmal probieren können. Scheiße.
Murder.
Der alte Mann sagt kein weiteres Wort. Er sieht einfach ins Schilf und zuckt noch einmal.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood.
Er war auch ein Soldat. Er war ein Mensch.
Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Also haben sie ihn erschossen.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
Du kannst fast sehen, wie er sich eine Träne aus dem Auge quetscht. Seine Fäuste beginnen vor Wut zu zittern.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
Ich nicke.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase. And I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
Er lächelt.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
Und dann?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white. or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
Mehr als diese Worte bietet er nicht.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
Er zuckt mit den Schultern und schmatzt mit den Lippen.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant's preparing the ground.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Warum haben Sie sie eigentlich in jener Nacht beobachtet?
I'm always looking.
Er legt den Kopf zur Seite und wendet seine Augen zur Stadt. Wieder geht ein Zucken durch seine rechte Seite, wenn auch wenig stark.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
Dann drücken Sie einfach ab.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it.
Ah. Scheiße, was war denn das? Haben Sie noch andere Dinge angesehen, die Ihnen nicht gefallen haben?
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar pat of hatred.
Etwas konkreter?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst.
Wieso denn das?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
Er zeigt zum Festland hinüber.
Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
Erklär?
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Lass ihn ausreden, unterbrich ihn nicht.
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals, like those boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
Was das?
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Koyamorang, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead.
Also dazu hätte ich noch Fragen.
We did good when we pushed him under the horse car. Until, in the 30s, those disco whores.
Atmet ein. Sein Atem ist von Hass getränkt. Du kannst nicht ein einziges Wort verstehen.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people. Might be worth investigating. Boom boom morons on thin ice. Going under. Those are the tent kids.
Da war etwas mit der Statue am Kreisverkehr und Syphilis.
Syphilis is a disease Philip III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination.
Abartig.
The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
Heuchelnd vor Wut atmet ein.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues, too. Hundreds of them.
Aber sie ist noch da.
What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why?
Weil sie vergessen haben, sie umzustürzen. Weil der König heilig ist und seine Statue unzerstörbar. Weil der König heilig und seine Statue unzerstörbar, du meinst es allerdings ironisch. Weil zynische Werbejuppies eine dekonstruierte Version von ihr errichtet haben.
That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working-class plastic explosives. And there it is again.
Angewidert schüttelt er den Kopf.
Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata.
Wait, the bullet hole in Philippe's heart. The statue had been shot. That was him. It had to be. He's already proven capable of taking a far more complicated shot from here.
Sie waren das. Sie haben auf die Statue geschossen. In ihrem Herzen war ein Einschussloch.
I did. A needless, sentimental gesture. I should have spared the bullet for a deformed monster of liberal capitalism. Shameful, really.
Yes, shameful. So many others to punish over the years. Isn't that right, Detective?
So viel zur Statue, Herr Dross. Sagen Sie mal,
The fat union man let them put it there. Corrupt as he is. Probably got a fat check for it, too. Shared with the law.
Accusations of corruption. Push them aside with a sharp change of topic, officer. Put the heat on him. He keeps having opinions about the union's leadership.
Disco, Schlampen?
Horse.
Mehr sagt er nicht. Selbst diese Worte muss er mit Gewalt durch die Zähne drücken. Die Wut kocht zu sehr. Sie haben gesagt, dass die Gewerkschaft sozialdemokratisch sei und Herr Clare eine Parodie eines Sozialdemokraten.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the Union's top brass.
Wer ist eine Enttäuschung? Evra Claire?
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
Edgar.
Sie meinen Edgar, Evras Bruder.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
Sie haben mit Edgar gesprochen?
First against the wall with him.
Mittlerweile hat er damit aufgehört, in der Asche zu stochern. Jetzt schüttelt er nur noch den Kopf.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to.
Sie sind auf sie zugegangen.
I haven't approached anyone. I've hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
Er zeigt auf den Pfad, der zum Turm führt.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things.
Wann war das?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
Worüber haben Sie gesprochen?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
Und er hat sich hier leben lassen.
Let me be here? The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
Herr Dross, haben Sie den Krenel-Söldner für die Clares getötet, um einen Aufstand anzuzetteln?
I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them. But he's insinuating something.
Die Bum-Bum-Bekloppten auf dem Eis.
They were boom-boom imbeciles. At least they're not there anymore. What more is there to say? They're duped by bourgeois culture. I've seen their kind pop up, like worms after the rain.
Oh, there's plenty to say, hardcore man.
Wissen Sie, diese Beats sind eigentlich ziemlich progressiv. Regressive Beats. Die Beats haben noch einen langen Weg vor sich. Gute, traditionelle, revacholische Beats. Nichts Beklopptes daran.
I don't think now is the time for this, officer.
To no avail.
Beats. Violent bourgeois language. Even music is a form of homicidal competition. Saxophone blowing anti-communism.
Mit dem Hahn, der in seiner Uniform herumstolziert, meinen Sie doch René, oder?
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack, across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot's plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac, race traitor.
Ruhig Blut, wir wollen ja nicht, dass sie sich zu stark aufregt.
What is there to be agitated about? The unholy ghoul? I love him there. He reminds me of everything we fought for. At least we killed Afistel and his kingsman.
Eine rote Würfelprobe. Und ich kann nur noch eins in Logik reinballern.
The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
Vor 20 Jahren, als sie Edgar getroffen haben, haben die Claires noch nicht die Gewerkschaft angeführt, oder?
Hey,
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
Wer dann?
that bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
Sie war auch eine Frau, nicht wahr?
She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muscova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work.
Und dann ist sie einfach so verschwunden.
Called in, they say. On the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain.
Er kneift die Augen zusammen und lächelt die schwarze Holzscheite an.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not.
Du könntest schwören, dass sich die Glut in seinen auf den Staub gerichteten Augen wieder entfacht hat. Edgar hat jemanden anrufen lassen. Warum das, Herr Dross?
She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Warum nicht?
Because she was dead.
Wie das?
Because the cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal, grasping her tit, and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job, on a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal, heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins.
Das waren sie? Du machst eine Bewegung, die dem Schießen eines Gewehrs ähnelt.
It was someone. Someone shot her.
Er zuckt mit den Schultern. Auf einmal erkalten seine Augen.
Or maybe she just fell. I get these violent ideations. My memory is filled with holes, especially the 30s. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal.
Spöttelt der alte Mann erneut, sonst nichts.
If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk.
Sagte Lieutenant mit einer Stimme, die noch ruhiger ist, als wäre nichts dabei.
We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Goat shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
Na gut, so viel dazu. Aber ich weiß Bescheid.
All you know is I saw it happen, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Her plump body, bobbing up and down in that canal like a cork. That chick yellow bag still on her, strangling her.
Kalte, schwarze Kohlen sehen zuerst den Kanal an und dann dich. Ein Blinzeln.
The same old freezing hatred.
Wie gut, dass wir darüber gesprochen haben. So.
Glad? It's all gone.
Ich möchte Sie noch einmal nach den Leuten befragen, die Sie nicht mögen.
His lip curls into a sneer at the...
Naja.
Glad? It's all gone. I ain't going anywhere.
Oh, die ist 70 wert. Wo ist er? Beherrschung. Beherrschung war's.
Minions of capital. What do you want?
What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. It's precisely what you could not see before. For a man who spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild.
Geht es ihm erstaunlich gut.
Indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated.
Munter? Wodurch?
It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system.
Demenz.
You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Is it some kind of substance damage? Like he's addicted to something? Not only the painkillers he's clearly on.
Demenz?
You've seen demented people before. This feels... Is it some kind of substance damage? Like he's addicted to something? Not only the painkillers he's clearly on.
Herr Dross, nehmen Sie irgendwelche psychoaktiven Substanzen?
No. I won't be stuffed full of shit like the rest of this city.
You said you take painkillers.
Lieutenant folgt deinem Ansatz.
I take them to cope with pain. The people of this city use painkillers because they have pain. Untreated illnesses. Not enough money for a greedy doctor.
He is indeed very lucid at times. It's not a downer, rather an upper, judging by his snaps.
Stehen Sie unter dem Einfluss von Amphetamin?
Like some kind of decadent rock star.
Herr Dross, geht es Ihnen gut? Wie steht es Ihr Gedächtnis?
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again. Erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course. Could it be a symptom of overdosing on something? Something even you have not tried? Keep your eyes peeled.
Alter. Was genau von dem, was Sie in der Mordnacht gesehen haben, hat Ihnen denn nicht gefallen?
Them. Fucking. I didn't like that.
Sie waren also eifersüchtig.
Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself. Drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore.
For him to stop reacting to stimuli, to be broken off from the world. cordoned into darkness.
And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
This man has seen past her, like you did. And now he longs to see her covered in blood. To punish her.
Wie lange hatten Sie sie bereits beobachtet?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Feld building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
And beautiful.
Was meinen Sie, was sie da versteckt hat?
Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet Brut.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
Das muss die versteckte Boje sein, von der sie uns erzählt hat. Haben Sie reingeschaut?
After she was gone,
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
no. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I'd put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
This implies that he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. He was surprised to hear her name Clausia before. Would he not have seen it on the documents?
Entschuldigung, ich hatte Durst. Sie haben Ihren Namen im Reisepass gelesen, aber als ich vorhin erwähnt habe, dass Ihr Name Klasi ist, schien er Ihnen nicht bekannt vorzukommen.
You didn't say Clausia in there.
Wie war Ihr Name gleich noch im Reisepass?
It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo.
Sind Sie sich da sicher? Wir haben die Boje untersucht, da war nichts drin.
Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
A strange confusion comes over him from time to time. Some kind of aberration of the nervous system.
Machen wir weiter. Haben Sie sie danach noch weiter beobachtet?
I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
Und Ihre Blutergüsse konnten Sie durch Ihr Zielfernrohr erkennen?
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
Woher weiß er diese winzigen Einzelheiten über Ihren Körper?
It quickly comes to you.
Die Blutergüsse auf Ihrem Körper, Könnte es möglicherweise sein, dass sie durch ein Loch in einer Wand gesehen haben?
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Everything in him fills with impossible longing.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too, for hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Haben Sie jemals durch ein Fenster auf einem Dach gesehen?
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass.
Sie sind durch den Geheimgang im Whirling in Rex gegangen. Die Fußspuren dort waren Ihre. Sie haben einfach nur die Schuhe gewechselt.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
Und auch dort.
Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Schüttelt immer weiter seinen Kopf.
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Zeigt in Richtung des Whirling in Rex.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
Sie wollten sie mit seinem Tod bestrafen.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
Schüttelt den Kopf und starrt die Asche an.
You stare at them too. In your mind, her innocence day still turns to leaf. Airport bag in hand, silks flowing in her wake.
Der Traum.
See you tomorrow, Harry. Her voice rings in the evening air, burning.
Sie haben sie durchschaut. Das habe ich auch.
You're delusional. There's nothing to see in the soul of the bourgeois woman. It's the same as the surface. Sick hedonism and desperation.
Das finde ich nicht. So bin ich nicht.
No one gives a shit what you think. You and your cronies kill 10 working-class men a day. I've heard the statistics on Channel 8.
Sie hatten Gefühle für diese Frau.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
Haben Sie deshalb die getrockneten Blumen an Ihrem Fenster hinterlassen?
No.
Er schüttelt wieder den Kopf wie eine Sonnenblume an einem verwelkten Stängel. Warum also dann?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
Wann war das?
The day after I killed him.
Und Sie haben ihr Maiglöckchen gebracht.
Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
Sie wollten sie manipulieren.
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you. If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
Er wischt sich ein Auge.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more.
Schlussendlich ging es also nicht um ihn, sondern um sie.
Her.
Wiederholt er, während er die Asche anstarrt, dann das Schilf, sein Augenwinkel zuckt.
You hear a low frequency hiss, barely, beneath the audible spectrum. Then it's gone.
Göttlich, Alter, und ich hab's geschafft.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
Sie ist entkommen, aber zuvor hat sie uns hierher geführt. Ihr war klar geworden, dass sie jemand von der Seefestung aus beobachtete.
Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week, at the island, like she knew.
Also,
She'd look, at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette. The old man has fallen silent, staring at your feet. The burnt logs in the fire are moist from the sea air.
okay, verhaften wir ihn.
The old man stares despondently at the logs. It's like he's forgotten you're there.
Josef Lilianowitsch Dross. Nehme sie wegen des dringenden Tatverdachts des Mordes an dem Krenel-Colonel hier in Martinet vorläufig fest.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But...
Kim, hat Angst.
No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
Sieht das Schilf an, seine Augen ertrinken in wachsender Furcht.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Pupils are dilated too. Eyes getting blacker and blacker.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
Moment.
There it is again. To your north, as it has been since you came to the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the middle of it,
Was?
something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin, made of reeds and rushes.
Maybe there is room for 3 on the boat.
Kim, haben Sie das gehört?
What?
What are you talking about? Is this... really us?
Your skin crawls.
Was zum Teufel höre ich? Wieso ist meine Wahrnehmung so krass? Alter!
A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence.
Was ist denn das?
What are you talking about?
Die riesige Gespenststrecke.
There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Doch, sie ist da. Ich sehe sie.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
Kim, können Sie sie sehen?
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful.
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks. The hiss is different from the strings you heard before. It says something else in a lower pitch.
Ich höre aufmerksam hin.
Ch, 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 s, ch, 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 s.
Das ist die insulindische Phasmide.
It is.
Du hörst den vertrauten Klang seiner sich öffnenden Jacke. Ganz langsam, fast schon akribisch.
You glance over your shoulder. The lieutenant holds a piece of milled aluminium. He begins to pull it open, extremely carefully. It's the camera. No, the flash will scare the creature off. Warn him now.
Der Blitz ist laut. Das wird dem Tier nicht gefallen.
We need a photo. No one will believe us.
From the corner of your eye, you see a sudden cascade of motion ripple through the phasmid's limbs. A series of ultrasonic clicks fills your ear.
Warten Sie. Lassen Sie mich erst näher herangehen.
I won't be one of those fools who didn't take a picture.
Er hat aufgehört, an der Kamera umzufummeln, legt sie aber nicht weg.
He's letting his pride get in the way. You see the phasmid turn to him, its mandible antennae reaching out. Its motions are quick, sudden.
Hören Sie einfach auf mich.
Shh. Okay.
The spindly mechanism turns itself back to you, its antennae taking their measure of the air, slowly.
Ich nähere mich behutsam.
Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps toward the phasmid. The creature lets out a series of ultrasonic clicks that swarm around your head like swallows. Like laughter, a sort of happiness. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antennae to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water.
Hallo, ich heiße Harry. Ich weiß nicht so recht, wer ich bin.
No reply. A total ancient silence comes from its mouth, along with what appears to be some kind of foam. The stridulations of its limbs continue all around you. You were right. Little bubbles form on the mouth parts of the creature, on its segmented lower lip. It looks to be foaming slowly. The foam is white, then yellowish. The faintest smell like you've never felt before, like burnt roses.
Kim, er hat Schaum vor dem Maul.
Careful. It may be poisonous.
The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel, as the insect moves its mouth parts, masticating. The little bubbles begin to burst, one by one, letting out that same smell, like summer burning.
Sag mir, was machst du denn da? ein Traum? Was geht hier vor?
No, you're awake. I am real. Light is forming me. This is real.
Auch ich existiere.
Tell me what it's like for you.
Es ist wunderherrlich.
Yes, holy is the Lord of hosts, and all the earth is filled with his glory. Now, I will tell you what it's like for me. For me, it is a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness, being intruded upon, transient, dim, moist.
Die immer wieder aufreißt? Wodurch?
Shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations. A swarm of sounds, tiny vibrations on the inside of my forearms. All speak of complexities totally beyond my understanding. I am at the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light, it only feels like something to be me. In truth, perhaps I'm nothing. I certainly do not have a soul. And if I did, it would never ache.
Du bist die Sorte Tier, die ich gerne wäre.
Are you sure?
Nein, bin ich mir nicht. Warum fragst du?
Sometimes, when molting, I will grow a lost limb. One time something went wrong, and a small leg replaced the missing antenna.
Das ist cool.
No, the leg tried to move around independently, making it hard to walk.
Jetzt hast du dort aber keinen Fuß.
Yes, thankfully someone ate it. The next time I molded, I grew an antenna again.
Ich bin ein Detective.
So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect?
Die des Mörders.
He's in a bad state, deteriorating fast now. He thinks I am beneficial to him, but I am not. I only quicken his deterioration.
Du zerstörst ihn also?
Very slowly, and only because he won't go away. It is meant to keep them from noticing me, to interfere with the pictures in their heads. But he has looked at me for too long, and I am destroying him.
Woher kommt das alles eigentlich? Alles hier, das um uns herum, die Welt?
Not even the birds know that. Not even the water lily.
Dann ist also das Einzige, was wir tun können, darauf einzuschlagen, Tag ein, Tag aus, ohne Antwort?
You can also eat it. If it's a leaf, you can put it in your mouth. Yum yum. Or read.
Wait, so
Du siehst also wie Schilf aus und frisst auch Schilf?
Yes, they don't mind.
Hast du schon mal einmal aus Versehen eine andere Schilfphasmide gefressen?
Yes, I once cloned myself and ate the little ones. It was winter, and I woke up at the wrong time. It was an accident.
Was genau bist du eigentlich?
I am an unknown species of the order Phantasmadia, endemic to the Insulandian Insula. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play with trash bins and boys. I went unnoticed by the first settlers and the land surveyors of the suzerain. Also, by the soldiers of the revolution and the officials of the occupation. Even the Seminoles Islanders who came here first, but did not stay, have not seen me.
Was für ein kranker Abschnitt in diesem Spiel. Ich liebe es.